right, while you were sleeping last night, Ukraine was to withdraw forces from Crimea, even after it voted to join Russia. And so far, Vladimir Putin has literally laughed off sanctions imposed by the U.S.
Russia has offered a variety of arguments to justify what is nothing more than a land grab.
He and Russia, for what they have done, are on the wrong side of history.
Wow. Our next guest says the White House looks weak, and the weak stance has paved the way for Putin's quest for power. And he's looked at as a hero right now within his country. Joining us right now in studio, Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert. He's also the vice chair of the Judiciary Committee on Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security. First thing, and also you were an exchange student, and you actually were studying over in the Ukraine, right?
Yeah, I spent a summer over in the old Soviet Union, and most of that was in Ukraine.
So we know that the sanctions of 7 Russians and 4 Ukrainians was laughed at by literally laughed at by the Russians, and one of the people who are sanctioned said this got to be some type of a prank.
Yeah.
So where is Congress's lead on this? Why don't you guys pump something out of the House?
Well, we did pump out a $1 billion loan giveaway. I voted against it because when you have a friend being assaulted, you don't do a drive-by and throw money at your friend. You come to help them, and there's plenty of things we can do. But what you're seeing, Brian, is what you get when a community organizer takes on a KGB agent. It doesn't go well.
So what are the things that we could do right now to get their attention? Because through all this turmoil, the market went up yesterday in Russia, and we also know sort of the price of oil, which just fuels their aggression.
That's right. Well, hopefully by now the Vice President knows Poland is already part of NATO, but Ukraine isn't. We should have brought Ukraine in even under the Bush administration, but I know there were some in Europe that didn't want them. But right now, we could immediately move to do that. We ought to move to further embrace the Baltic states. We ought to stop taking rubles. You want to hit them, you don't just take as you know, you don't take a knife to a gunfight. Well, this president's taken a paintball gun to a gunfight. It looks pretty, but it's not going to accomplish anything.
So I understand the Majority Leader, Eric Cantor, is working on a series of sanctions in the House, crafting a package that should be a little bit tougher and includes kicking them out of the G8 and making it a true G7.
It ought to be a G7.
Are we at that point now?
Well, we certainly are, I think, in the House. And then it ought not to stop there. Kick them out of the International Monetary Fund. There's a number. Stop taking rubles for anything. We can really hit them where we hurt. And that's why the Russians looked at what we did. Sanctions against 7 individuals. Those guys are powerful enough. They can have other identities. So it's ridiculous.
From what you know of the region, do you believe that Ukraine's going to take more? They're already justifying the spreading out of these non-discriminate forces, non-Russian uniforms, but all in uniform, 15,000. Do you look for them to spread this out?
Putin wants all of Ukraine. Crimea was a place to start. He wants all of Ukraine. He'd love to have the Baltic states. He'd love to move on the stands like Kazakhstan. He would love to move on eastern Poland, which has been...
He doesn't have the money to do all that.
No, we don't. But this is where we've gone wrong. We went wrong in Afghanistan. You empower the enemy of your enemy to take on your enemy. You don't have to have American troops do that. You empower the enemy of your enemy. But first thing, Brian, we ought to immediately reinstate the ballistic missile defense in Poland when this president screwed over our allies so badly. Put it back in there.
And you speaking for the House would support that. Absolutely.
You bet.
All right. Congressman, it's good to see you in New York. If you need a subway map or anything, let us know.